Hey guys, this is Kids Agent, and this video gives an introduction to the human circulatory system. It covers the topics needs of circulation, types of circulatory systems, composition and functions of blood. So, what's the need of circulation? It arises due to the complexity of life. As we all know, humans are very complex organisms, due to which the nutrients absorbed by the digestive system needs to be transported throughout the body. The respiratory gases must be transported to and fro the lungs and the cells of the tissues of the body. The metabolic wastes must be transported from all organs of the body to the excretory system. Now let's understand the types of circulatory systems. There are two types of circulatory systems. One is open vascular system and the other is closed vascular system. Let's know about the first type of vascular system, that's open vascular system. In many advanced invertebrates meaning organisms without a backbone, blood does not remain confined in blood vessels but flows through open spaces and channels in the tissues. Therefore, the tissues are in direct contact with blood. Sufficiently high blood pressure cannot be maintained. Actually, an interesting fact here is that the oxygen carrying pigment is usually dissolved in the plasma of the blood. Oh, it's pretty obvious because it comes in contact. That's why it's known as open vascular system. Coming to the closed vascular system, in many advanced vertebrates in the sense the organisms with a backbone, blood always remains confined to the blood vessels. Tissue cells never come in contact with blood. Blood flows rapidly with sufficiently high blood pressure within the blood vessels, which means it's pretty obvious then that there has to be a medium through which the tissue cells get their nutrients and the oxygen they require, and also to give out their metabolic wastes. So, tissue fluid forms the medium. Tissue fluid is just the medium, it does not play exactly the role, it does not exchange. It's the medium through which the nutrients, wastes, and respiratory gases are exchanged between blood and the tissue cells. Let's come to the major fluids of our body. As we all know, first one is blood. Blood is contained in the heart and the blood vessels of the body and is constantly circulating. The tissue fluid, we just came across tissue fluid a few seconds ago. It is contained in the spaces between the cells of tissues in various organs. And lymph is contained within the lymph vessels and lymphatic organs. It's pretty obvious, that's why it got the name lymph. So lymph organs, examples of lymph organs is spleen and tonsils. Tonsils are present on either sides of the neck. I'm pretty sure most of the students who have studied digestive system know it. And there are many other fluids, but in very small quantities, and are there confined to certain organs only. Like for example, synovial fluid, you can find it only in the joints. And vitreous humor and aqueous humor, they are fluids that are found only in the eyes. So they are examples of the other small fluids. Coming to blood. Blood is a major fluid of the body which is constantly circulating throughout the body. It's a thick fluid flowing with a bright red color in the arteries and dark red in veins. See, there's actually a convention. Most of us, whenever we see circulatory system diagrams, the veins are shown in blue color and the arteries are shown in red color. People tend to get confused that what is the color of blood flowing in veins? See, the color of blood flowing in veins is definitely not blue just because it's shown in blue. It's just a convention that we follow, that's all, to show deoxygenated blood. Definitely, the blood that is present in veins is not completely devoid of oxygen, it is just less saturated with oxygen, that's it. And coming to the volume, a healthy adult human has about 5 to 6 liters of blood. it's quite saltish. I'm pretty sure most of us have tasted blood. Like whenever there's an injury in our finger, we tend to suck the blood, or whenever there's bleeding of gums, we know the taste of blood. So it is due to the presence of salts like sodium chloride and has a slightly alkaline pH. It's also called a fluid connective tissue. This is an interesting fact, Like, see, there's a reason for every part of these three words. It's a fluid, definitely, because the matrix of blood can flow. It's a connective tissue because it flows and connects all the organs of the body. And it is a tissue because it is composed of various cells which work in a coordinated manner. Let's see the composition of blood. Blood is made up of plasma and cellular elements. Plasma comprises 55% of blood. It's a straw colored fluid matrix of blood containing soluble clotting proteins, prothrombin and fibrinogen. Let's come to clotting proteins in our next video. And other organic and inorganic compounds. Plasma devoid of clotting proteins is called serum. Coming to cellular elements, it comprises 45% of blood. It contains erythrocytes, commonly known as RBCs. RBCs are nothing but red blood corpuscles. I've heard a few people say red blood cells. They're not exactly cells. They don't have a nucleus. So they're basically, you can say they're actually dead cells because they don't have a nucleus. But that's why it's called corpuscle. Corpse means dead. So it's called red blood corpuscle. And the next one is leukocytes, that is the WBCs. These are cells. These are Pukka cells only. That's white blood cells. And thrombocytes, which are platelets. Coming to the functions of blood. Blood has two major functions. One is transportation and the other is protection. Let's come to the first function, transportation by blood. Nutrients. Blood transports the nutrients absorbed by the digestive system to the tissue cells. Respiratory gases. Blood transports oxygen from lungs to the needy tissues and the carbon dioxide back from the tissues to the lungs. Metabolic wastes. The blood transports the wastes of the body to the excretory organs for their elimination. Obviously, they have to be thrown out. Coming to distribution of hormones. Blood also carries hormones to their sites of action, which is mostly the target sites, the organ or the gland that they have to act on, from their sites of secretion. Most of the times their sites of secretion is the endocrine glands. The last point, distribution of heat. Blood helps to maintain a constant body temperature throughout the body as it is constantly circulating. Let's come to the second function, protection by blood. Blood forms a clot wherever there's a cut in any blood vessel to prevent further loss of blood. Obviously, the blood cannot just go and go and go. And entry of pathogens. Pathogens are nothing but disease-causing germs. The white blood cells in blood engulf bacteria or any other microbe for that matter, which may have entered the body, thus protecting the body from the harmful effects of the bacteria. It produces antitoxins and antibodies to neutralize toxins and render the pathogens harmless. So here is a picture of the process of clotting of blood, which is the first protective function. So yes guys, thank you so much for watching our video. Please like, share and subscribe our channel. Let the people who are interested about the basics of circulatory system watch this and keep on watching our videos. Thank you so much.